Hey everyone, this is Michael with the general reading intended for Aquarius Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus for the month of June 2020. I do hope that this video finds you relatively well and in good health and spirits, and if it doesn't, I hope that it offers some tools and reflections for these challenging times that we find ourselves in. Obviously, there's a lot that is happening in the world right now, specifically in the United States, and there's a lot that is being healed, especially on the ancestral level. We have an eclipse in Cancer on June 5th, and so we're really seeing a lot of ancestral trauma and issues regarding lineage that are coming forward right now, as well as issues with our soul, issues with who we are at the core. And while this energy may feel very intense, it's ultimately serving to really bring us back into alignment. And I don't think that it's going to be a process that happens overnight. I don't think it's just going to be like eclipse is over, everything is back to normal. What's coming to the surface is going to take years to integrate. And I think we really need to kind of look at the larger picture here, how this is all just a step in a much larger cosmic dance. I've just been kind of looking at things that way. And I've actually written a blog kind of about this month for June. I have linked that down below. I also have links for all of my services, so if you're looking for a personal reading or Reiki session, all of that is down below. I do want to thank all of you who have supported this channel with your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. It's because of all of you I have been able to continue putting out this work, putting out these messages, and it's been an absolute gift to be able to do so. I do also have all of my social media as well, so if you're interested in keeping up on any updates, announcements, or even giveaways or sales, that's a great way to kind of stay on the radar. I'm currently offering Reiki sessions at 25% off for the month of June if you use the discount code ECLIPSE, and you can purchase those on my website. And I think that's pretty much everything. There's a lot that's actually happening astrologically this month. We have 6 retrogrades, 2 eclipses, and a Pluto-Jupiter conjunction. I really probably will only just be scratching the surface in this reading. If you'd kind of like to take a deeper look, I really do recommend that blog that I was talking about. And again, you can find that down below. But I'm just curious to see what we have for you, Aquarius. For those of you who are kind of new to this game, this is a general reading, meaning not all of the messages that come forward are going to be meant for you specifically. It is up to your own intuition and discernment to figure out what messages apply to your own life and what should be left behind for somebody else. If this video doesn't feel like it really resonates for you or that it's not really your message, that's totally fine. Nothing went wrong. It just means that I was tapping into another collective that needed to hear these words at this time. You are more than welcome to look at the other videos for your moon, rising, or Venus signs. And if you don't know what those are, there is a natal chart calculator, again, down below, that should be able to help you figure those out. So what are the messages for my Aquarians, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus coming into June here? Show me clearly. Interesting. Ooh, I like this energy. We have the 9 of Cups and the Knight of Cups here. And I'm going to pull one more. Wow, Ace of Cups, so much water. You know, the way these cards fell out, I'm actually sort of seeing a story here already. There was something, maybe someone, that really made you happy for a time, or you thought it would bring you some joy, you thought it would bring you the sense of completion, or it was your wish fulfillment. But I'm starting to see, Aquarius, that you have your eyes on something new here with this Ace of Cups. This could be a new person, this could be a new relationship, but I actually feel like for the collective here, this is you really looking at what actually makes you happy in your life. It feels like it goes a little bit deeper. And sometimes that does make us kind of walk away from relationships or from groups of people that, while they served a purpose in one chapter of our life, they don't necessarily provide that same level of connection as we're going off into something new. And it feels very positive, actually. For some of you, this may have been a bit hard. This may be a process you're still kind of going through. But it's very important that you follow this intuition, that you follow this guidance with this Ace of Cups, because there is this new beginning here, and it's actually a very profound time for you to be setting some intentions for your future. Even with the world being so uncertain right now, even with so many things up in the air, it's still important to be focusing on what you want to manifest, what it is that you want to do with your life, what it is that you want to create, and to really go in those directions as best as you can, and to just allow the universe to kind of let those things flow into your life as well. I do see that there actually could be a new love or a new relationship coming in for some of you, and maybe you've been doing a lot of healing with Venus in retrograde, where you have had to look at your old patterns and look at the ways that you may have been sabotaging yourself or your relationships. And now there's either someone new coming in, or there's an existing person who's really coming forward and offering you a lot of love and intimacy and wanting to deepen the connection. So that's actually really, really positive. I know the readings have kind of been a bit harsh for Aquarius lately. We do have Saturn that is in your sign, but is actually currently retrograde, and it's going to be going back into Capricorn. So you might actually be feeling like you're getting a bit of a break for the time being. And this is just kind of looking at the first half of June here. But yeah, you know, you're going in a nice direction, actually, Aquarius, at least at the start of the month. And you do have the Ace of Wands with the World card in the reverse. Some of you are really feeling stuck. And it's like, you might have this direction, you might have this pull, you know where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to be doing, but it might not feel like you're actually able to do that in the second half of this month. And again, there's a lot of retrogrades that are going to be happening. There is a Mercury retrograde, and specifically there could be some delays. Obviously, travel has been very restricted, so if you're thinking about going somewhere in specific, you may be finding out that your travel plans are delayed, or just something that brought you a lot of passion is, you know, kind of being shut down for the moment. And you're having kind of this hard time sticking to moving forward. Your energy might be feeling a little depleted throughout the month. And honestly, Aquarius, that makes perfect sense, because again, we do have so many retrograde planets. The eclipses are very heavy energy. Don't try and rush things right now. 2020 really isn't a year to kind of take things by the reins if you haven't been able to tell. There's actually a lot of surrender that's supposed to happen. And while that can be scary, while that can be kind of a leap of faith in its own right, where it's just like letting the universe do what it needs to do, a lot of the time, entering that state of allowing actually does open doors. And you really can't be pushing them down here. And I'm so sorry, it's actually a Sagittarius eclipse that we are having at the start of June. The Cancer eclipse is actually going to be the one towards the end of the month. And I think that's the one that's going to be bringing a lot of healing to the collective with all of this ancestral trauma. I do apologize for that. Interesting. So you have the Four of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. So this Four of Pentacles is actually in the reverse here. You're kind of figuring out what you're supposed to be holding on to and what you should be letting go of. And this doesn't necessarily feel like a person, although it could be because it is close to your heart, but I think it's just you readjusting your priorities right now and feeling like you need to let something go, and maybe that gives you sort of this passion or this creativity. If you are feeling creatively blocked, Aquarius, it may be that you're just supposed to be focusing on other things right now. And it's not that you're not supposed to be doing these things or working on these projects, but it's just that you need to really recenter and focus. There's obviously a lot that is coming into balance throughout this month with the Two of Pentacles, really trying to ride these waves here. Find your momentum, find your equilibrium. That's going to be really, really important. But I do ultimately see this Judgment and this Queen of Cups coming out together. Some of you really may have to be making a decision with a water sign. I could see Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. I'm actually really seeing all three pretty strongly in these cards. And you may just have to make a kind of judgment call here. However, Aquarius, I actually do feel like this is you still answering the call, you following your intuition, and trusting that whatever is happening right now is just part of this initiation process for what comes next in your life. I do feel like some of you may be moving into a more spiritual field or doing more intuitive work, and that could be creative. It does actually feel pretty spiritual as well for some of you, though, too. And it's really you following your calling, however that appears for you individually. Obviously, this is a general reading, so that's going to be a bit different. But I'm actually feeling kind of this more holistic or creative direction for you. And there's so much water here, which makes sense because we are going to be coming into Cancer season, and we do have that Cancer new moon eclipse. And that's going to be a really powerful time for you to set intentions. But I think, again, Aquarius, I'm getting this theme, from the first three cards we pulled with this Nine of Cups, the Knight of Cups going towards this new Ace of Cups, finding happiness in another place. Maybe this year has really brought out some changes. It's really made you have to look somewhere else. It might have brought some endings to things that you really loved, but that doesn't mean that there isn't more blessings or there isn't something better for you. But it's just the beginning, so it might be hard to see all of this. And again, with the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles in the reverse here, it's like you really figuring out what is worth holding on to and what you really need to let go of. And if you're so focused on trying to get back what was, or what it is that brought you all of this, love or passion, and that could also be another person, but again, this actually feels more like your own life. You're really being asked to let go of that and just be more fluid. Allow something new to come in here, and it may be a bit slow. I'm not gonna lie, Aquarius. I know this isn't the most exciting reading for you, but I do feel like there is some healing from the past as well that you're gonna be doing. Could potentially be an ex, could potentially be someone like that. I don't necessarily feel like this is you getting back together with this person, to be honest. I think it's actually you letting them go, so someone new can come in. Or just letting them go and letting go of that pattern that you keep encountering. Something needs to be cleared. Something needs to be brought to light with this Judgment card before you are able to proceed here. And it's like you want to let it go, but you can't. And I gotta be honest, a lot of you are going to be experiencing some shifts in your life. You probably already are, I'm sure. That could be changes in employment. It could be moves that you may be making as well. Major life changes with those Two of Pentacles and Four of Pentacles in reverse. And it might even be a time of a little economic scarcity or financial scarcity. But I don't want that to be very alarming to you. I am seeing at the bottom of the deck this Wheel of Fortune, which, while it feels a little out of your control at times, you kind of spin the wheel and it just lands where it lands. This is part of your destiny. It's like letting fate decide in a way. And it could bring you into some pretty unexpected areas in your life. But I do actually feel that ultimately luck is on your side, even if it does not feel like that. Because you're still holding on to something or trying to go back, you have to go forward, Aquarius. You have to go forward. And that's going to require healing. Personally, I hate when people are like, you just need to let this go. It's like, how do you do that? That's not practical. There's nothing actually there. It's almost like you're just trying to shame someone out of feeling a certain way. And I'm not trying to do that here at all with you, Aquarius. Something needs to come up. Something needs to be processed. And the way that you do that is not just by letting it go and just forgetting about it. It's actually really sitting with those emotions and sitting with those patterns and really asking yourself, where does this come from? What wound is this salt being thrown into with this person or with this situation? It's like something needs to be done or said before you're able to proceed here. I think I'm going to kind of finish up here with some oracle cards, just to kind of clarify these messages, maybe get a little further insight. Karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. Yeah, there really is this kind of relationship block for some of you. And some of you really are having a hard time letting go of something that was quite karmic and provided a lot of lessons for you. And if it's not a person, it could also just be a pattern. It doesn't always have to be the ex, right? Sometimes the universe brings that X back in, so we look at it, especially during Venus retrograde. But I actually think you are supposed to be learning something from that relationship, whether it's still existent, or it's something you walked away from or tried to walk away from. And it might not even be a romantic situation. This could be someone who really hurt you, and you just can't get over it. It could be a family member, it could be an old friend. And even your enemy, even the people who are against you, those are actually very special soulmates because they teach you a lot about yourself. And they really push us to look at ourselves at our core. So I'm going to read this from the little booklet here and kind of see what it has to say. But I do think that you are supposed to be addressing something in a relationship or with someone that you care about. And I'm definitely getting a lot of water sign energy. Could also be a fixed sign with the world. So Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, or Aquarius. Another Aquarius. Let's see. So karmic relationships here. The constellation Orion is thought by many to have been a place of great polarity and eventual unity. Some believe that many starseeds who are part of this cosmic journey are incarnate on Earth now and are playing karmic relationships from Orion times. Perhaps you're one of them. Polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. However, because of this, conflict can also result in unity and growth. Too many misunderstandings are caused when we don't open our heart and mind and see things from a different point of view. When we go into a reactive second-guessing mode instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit that we may have reacted because of our own woundings and find mutual ground. We're all innocent children looking to be seen, understood, and cherished. It's much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. And yet that's the invitation of conflict. It's easy to react and take things personally. It's more challenging to see the innocence of all involved and find a way to grow closer through the conflict. It's through relationships that we have grown the most. How can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? How can you see the innocence of all involved? how can you learn differences, or how can you learn to see the similarities rather than the differences? That's a really interesting card and kind of reflection for the times that we're in, and I actually do think that's quite relatable to what we are experiencing kind of with the world at large. And you know, it's very interesting for me personally because I always feel like I've kind of struggled to find this marriage between my spiritual and activist sides. And some of you may know I've actually attended the protests that are going on. You can actually read about my experiences on Instagram if that's something you're interested about. And I see a lot of New Age people or a lot of spiritual people who are actually kind of shaming the activists or kind of playing into this sort of conspiracy theory or something like that. And it's not the right energy to come at. And it's actually really ironic that I'm seeing spiritual people do this, saying these riots are coming from the wrong energy, or this is not the right way to protest, or whatever. The way that you actually reach people in crisis is not by telling them you shouldn't be doing this, or you need to do this differently, or you need to feel differently. You actually need to sink into that discomfort. You need to face that pain and see that, kind of look that thing in the eye that's making you the most uncomfortable and really kind of practicing what you're preaching to them, which is this attitude of, I'm so sorry you're feeling this way. I'm so sorry that this has happened. And really pulling in, going into it, leaning towards it, instead of trying to separate yourself from it, which is something a lot of spiritual people do with conflict, regardless of what it is, regardless of whether it's political, interpersonal, however we like to think of it. We use spirituality often to kind of bypass those lessons, but they're actually some of the greatest lessons. It's what we're here to do. And so instead of trying to be prescriptive of people's behavior, really try to understand. And that could apply to any area of your life. You can't tell someone to do this or to behave this way while you're not doing it yourself. You kind of have to lead that energy. And again, you know, I think, not to get super political here or anything, but we are talking about it, and I talked about this on social media as well. I honestly think it's really abusive that we expect the oppressed person or kind of the victim to always be the one who has to step up or step forward, and we never actually acknowledge how the oppressor or the abuser is the one who is constantly being violent towards them or unjust. You literally cannot expect someone to be unwaveringly passive all the time, or to just be accepting of that behavior. Something does have to give. I actually think that it's a good thing that these things are happening right now, and it was really inevitable. Honestly, the fact that we've been in lockdown kind of threw gas into the flames, for sure. But I think this all needed to happen, and kind of referring to this Cancer new moon eclipse that is going to be happening, I want to say on the 22nd or 21st of June. You can find all these dates, again, in the astrology blog. That's really going to bring about a lot of healing for the collective and healing this ancestral trauma. And of course, I don't think that's going to happen overnight, but I think it's a process that we are going to really be beginning or cementing. And this is the last eclipse in the Cancer-Capricorn cycle, and now we're going fully into the Gemini-Sagittarius eclipse cycles. And again, you can kind of read more about that in the blog that I wrote. But I think it's really important for you to lean in. Don't pull away. It's like the finger trap metaphor. You can try and pull away from something or someone, and if you're coming at it from that resistant energy, which some of you might be doing, you're actually supposed to be going towards it to get that release, to let go, so you can move forward. You can't bully yourself into alignment. You can't push yourself into alignment. You have to actually go and address the part of you that is not in alignment. And be present with that. That's how we bring about healing. We don't bypass. And we don't tell other people what they should or shouldn't be doing. It's not gonna help. So I do hope that this was helpful for you, Aquarius. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It does help this channel grow and allows me to keep doing this work. Again, all of my services are linked down below, and if you would like a Reiki session to help you move through the energy of this time, or you just kind of feel like you need some healing, again, using that Eclipse code, or the discount code ECLIPSE, will get you 25% off Reiki sessions on my website for the month of June, so definitely consider that. Could be helpful for some of you. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Aquarius.